Hey guys, Slow Stars here, bringing you another video. So one thing I wanted to talk to you guys is setting up your build. I get a lot of questions from other people, enthusiasts, pretty much like, hey, what's a cheaper route? I want it reliable, but I want power out of it. What should I do? So pretty much I'm gonna give you guys a full breakdown as far as like things you need to buy and should have ready, and everything else would be like an extra. For example, you don't need 18-inch wheels for a build. You really don't. But this isn't more of mods. This is more of a, you want to be built, you want to be fast, and you want to get there the cheapest, most effective way. And this is what I'd recommend. I would say if you have a low mileage engine, I say 20,000 miles or less, go ahead and just buy the dropping kit from Stratified. It is a forged dropping kit which comes with rods and pistons and bearings. You need to buy rods, pistons, bearings, and then also you'd go ahead and get some head studs and main studs. With those 5 things, it's all you need is to build this engine. You don't really need to do any machine work because the engine's so new, and I doubt you'd have any imperfections. Now, if you have a higher mileage engine like 30,000 to 40,000, then I would recommend you getting an inspection and having your bore cylinders resurfaced if there's any scratching, and having your head checked, make sure it's fully pretty much flat, you know, like all across, and your deck on your block as well. So with that being said, you'll probably spend about this much, I'll put the number up here, on just the internal pieces. That will be part of the build. This is the cheap build that we're doing right here. So you'll have that set if you're doing this yourself and not going through a third party. Braking oil. This is the braking oil I'm using, 5W30 by Pennzoil. You're gonna need coolant, unless you're gonna reuse your own coolant, which I highly don't recommend. But if you're gonna use it and be that cheap, that's on you. And then of course you're gonna need gear oil, because when you pull out the engine and the transmission, you're gonna lose the oil, and you might as well get some AMSOIL up in there. And this is 5W50 regular oil after the break-in. So once you have all that situated, what's going to get you to more power? All right, let's say you have full mods already, right? Exhaust, tune, intake. One of the things I'd recommend before you even get started, if you don't have it already, is an ethanol content sensor. It's, I don't know where it's at, but it connects to here, and it connects to your fuel lines. And that way you're able to mix your E85 with your regular premium gas to determine what ethanol content you have in your car. The reason I recommend that first is because you could run that just with a block itself that's built, and not having any extra things like port injection and a bigger turbo or stuff like that. You could run it full bolt-ons. So once you've done the block, you have an ethanol content sensor. You don't need the ethanol content sensor if you're running methanol injection. So that's only if you're gonna run E85. Now, next thing you're gonna need, are you gonna need either a port injection first, or are you gonna need a turbo first, or a clutch first? What is gonna be your next major purchase? So I would say your next major purchase should be the turbo. Why? Because whether you go port injection first or turbo first, turbo will give you a lot more sound, a lot more power right off the bat than port injection right away. So you'll get a little bit more bang for your buck here right away compared to fuel. And I do recommend getting this twin port wastegate. I mean, it's a wastegate actuator, but it's got a port here, a port up here. Next thing I would recommend you get would be a clutch. Why a clutch over fuel? Because once you go turbo, at this point of stage of power, you will no longer be able to put this to the ground. Your clutch will no longer be able to hold. You'll still be able to drive your car normally with your stock clutch, don't get me wrong. You'll have enough material, but it won't be as intense and as aggressive for it to hold down that much power and torque. So I would recommend you get going with a clutch. The twin disc is decent. It's good. It gets the job done, but there's other clutches as well as a single disc. Haven't experienced them yet, so for right now my recommendation would be this, but I'm pretty sure there's better clutches out there than that. Now once you have your turbo, your clutch, the next thing I'd recommend would be your port injection. There's also high pressure fuel pumps you can buy, but they're a little bit more expensive. And since this is a budget build, you could go with just port injection and you'll be set. So after all that being said and done, here's a price point of what you would have spent. And then, yeah, that's pretty much all you need. And then you'll be good for over 500 horsepower, to be honest. And it'll be pretty reliable as is, depending if whoever's installing this system installs it correctly. And let's not forget about tuning. You have to spend money on the tuning as well. And now I recommend Stratified. They are great at doing this kind of build. They've done it many times. I am one of them, and I highly recommend them. Now it's time to get to the big things, you know. Oh, for the bigger build, for the guys that want to do this right all the way, want to get the most out of their engine. So same thing as before, all the same instructions. I don't have anything out here for you guys to show you, but one thing you guys want to do is pistons, rods. You need to get your crank, I say keyed. You have to get it. It's a big important part. And also the gear for that comes with the crank, get that as well, so you can fit the key between both of them. You want to get it balanced. You want to get all that stuff balanced, because if it's not balanced, you'd have a balanced shaft that pretty much weighs an extra, I'll say the wrong number, but I would say 40 pounds or less, somewhere around that range. You can remove that rotating mass weight, so you'll free up a lot of space, and it'll feel like your car has a lot more power. It'll have fast acceleration. So balancing your rods, your pistons, your crank is 100% worth it. Another thing, you need a baffle plate. I'll attach images as well in the corners. You need a baffle plate, because whenever you're gonna go full throttle with all that extra space after getting your balance shaft delete, you don't want oil going everywhere and having to have your oil pump suction air instead. That'll be a no good, because then your bearings will start going out. But so yeah, pistons, rods, bearings, baffle plate, and then your keyed crank. Oh yeah, and another thing is, if you're doing the full entire build on the block, you need to upgrade your synchros on that transmission before they give out. So that'll run you a few hundred to $1,000, depending on if you do the work or not. And then for you guys that want to push it the most to the limit, the head, go get the head poured and polished, Stage 3 Piper cams. Bam. And then go ahead and don't go with ARP head studs. Go with the Speed 63 head studs. They're about $400 I believe they are. They're pretty expensive, but go with that brand instead, and trust me, you want that head to hold. And on top of that, you'd also want to go get the Guardian Angel for any overboost protection, a couple $100 as well. And upgrade your drive shaft or your axles. That's like about another $600 or so. And brake and period is the same thing. Everything's exactly the same. Just those extra add-ons is what's going to put you up there and over at max potential, what the engine can push, and reliability. And there you're going to spend most of your money. Guys, one thing I forgot to mention was you're definitely going to need this, especially if you're doing an RS. You are going to need a 2.0 liter short block. So make sure you get a 2.0 liter short block, machined, rid of any imperfections, make sure the surface is flat. So after all is said and done, here's what you'll end up spending total for the cheap build, what you're going to be spending for the full build, 100% maxed out. And I'll post all the price differences down here. And it'll be up to you guys, to be honest. If you don't want to do all this work yourself and you want to just buy it, throw it in and go for it, you know, hey, that's what these companies are out here for. But if you're a guy that wants to do this from top to bottom, bottom to top, know your engine in and out, go the route I went, you know. You'll save a couple $100,000 here and there. Alright guys, so that's all for now. If you guys have any questions, message me below. If you guys haven't seen my must do mods, check that out. I recommend you guys do the mods first before you start a build. It wouldn't make sense for you to build first, then do mods. But so yeah guys, Until next time, I'll see you guys on the next video, and hopefully by then we'll be starting to do this block, and I'll do the process of building the block. So until next time, guys, peace.